Let's make it so that our ore will generate in the world at word generation and any chunk generation. Hello everyone, this is Ali Reza. Welcome to the Mentor Code Lab. Normally, word generation information is not considered a basic modding concept. They are more lenient toward intermediate concepts. However, when it comes to normal direction of working as a mod developer, word generation of your OR is one of the things that you have to do early in your own modding experience because you will have some machines or blocks or whatever, and they need some recipes. And you have a reason for adding your own OR into the word. So you should identify a way to have them in the world so that you can start your test gameplay and move forward little by little, identifying some problems early in development. Okay, for developing your OR generation, we have to work with 4 different classes. One of them is sitting on the registry for us, and that is mod or generation. The other three, one is the mod loot provider, and we already have it opened, but it's from Datagen, mod loot table provider. The other ones are basically configured features, placed features, and that's it. So we have to work with these 4. Of course, if we already have our blocks being registered inside the game, if we have our models for the blocks already inside the game, and if we can see them inside our item groups for the OR somewhere in some place. For example, I think I added them under blocks. Yeah, here we go. Or the basic things for any block should be done, and you can see your OR block inside creative tabs. You can place them in the word, and they are breakable with your pickaxe, the correct tier of pickaxe. Everything is ready. You just need to spawn them in the game. The very first thing that I will do is to change my loot table, because right now we made it so that when we break the ore, it will drop itself. However, this is not the correct way of doing it. Normally, when you break the ore, it will drop either the ingot or a raw ingot here. If you'll notice, I just copy pasted the drop ore from vanilla early in the videos, and it's ready to be used. So here, instead of adding a drop like this, we can put a comma. We can say custom or drop. Now, normally, this overload asks for 2 and 5. So if I want to use 2 and 5, that's okay. But first item is mod blocks dot. This is deep citrine. So deep citrine. And what it should drop as the item is mod items dot raw citrine. Now the number, I can leave it as it is, means that I will drop anything between 2 and 5. However, I want to reduce these two, so 2.0f and 3.0f. So basically, I'm saying that, hey, reduce the count for me here. Let me think. I'm confusing myself. So if I open the or and the right, this is the thing. Oh yeah, now I remember. Or and the right will become or cracked. Now I remember what I want to do. Okay, or let's put a comment here. Or and the right will become or and the right cracked. This will drop. No, actually it will become or and the right. Yeah, it will become or and the right. Then or and the right will go into blast furnace. That's the mechanic I want to have it. Then it will become cracked, and then you have to use pickaxe on top of this guy so that you get raw enderite. That's how things will work. And that's it basically. So we have covered our loot table for our ore and the game mechanics being noted here. Now it's time for putting them inside ore generation. Now ore generation works in three phases. The first phase is that you should make a configuration on where to put your mod items inside the word. For example, what default states they should be, what is the key for that configuration. Then you have a placed feature. The placed feature will tell the Minecraft on which biome they should be put, on what Y level they should show up, and stuff like that. And finally, you have this ore generation that combines the configuration to the placed feature and finally make it ready for the game to understand that, hey, this is the configuration, this is the placement for this ore, use them and do your magic. So it's a three-step thing to cover. Now I will copy paste some of the code and I will talk about them because they are a lot. And actually, let's type one and then I can just duplicate it. Public static final registry key of type. Now type is a configured feature, and configured feature, it's another collection that asks for two types. It's a dictionary basically. Using wildcards, we are saying that, hey, anything to anything. Now we call it or underline citrin underline key equals to registry key dot off. This is like registering anything else to the game. Registry keys dot configured feature, comma, our identifier from reference, and we call it or underline citrin. Notice that for this, we are not adding anything like deep slate or word because this will work inside the overword for both the deep slate and the surface one at the same time. Finally, it's time to work with our bootstrap. Where is that bootstrap? Here we go. Open the bootstrap, and now we can use our configured features and add some criterias. For example, we say rule test, and we call it stone replaceable. Replaceables equals to new tag match rule test block tags dot stone or replaceable. Basically, what we are doing here, we are making a rule that says, hey, find anything that is replaceable with the stones. Put that rule inside this one. Now, for this one, we will go with deep replaceable, and instead of stone, we go with deep slate. So basically, this one is for overworld again, and says any deep slate stone. Now, this one is nether. However, here we have base stone nether, and this one is for the end. And for the end here, we only have end stone. And this is not block tags, it's a block and stone. And this is not a tag match, this is a block matches rule test. So that's for the times that you don't have a tag and you want to specify a very dedicated block. Now that we have the rules, we can start using our configured feature keys and add some configurations basically. So we say a list of or feature config dot target. We call it overworld citrin ors equal to list dot of, and we want to add different criterions basically here because remember overworld has two features, or feature config dot create target for stone replaceables, comma mod blocks dot or underline word citrin dot get default state. That's the first one. And here after the second parenthesis, comma, another one is again or featured configs dot create tags, this time deep replaceable. Again, mod blocks dot or deep string get default state. And this is how we put two different states for the string. Of course, right now we are not using these, but later we will find how we are using these lists. Up until now, we defined the keys, we added features to the keys, but we are not registering in the registry. So finally, we say register on the context, the or string key with the feature of or, and finally new or feature configuration for overword string ors. And here I will put a number. Now this int is the number of the vein size. I will put a comment here. 3 is the vein size per vein, actually. Okay. It was a lot of copy pasting, but one of the major parts is done. For the placed features, we still have to put more code. So this time I will just copy paste them and we will talk you through all the things. The very first section is again putting some keys for registry. This time, instead of the configured feature, we are defining the keys for the placed feature. And it's again placed feature for the overword, the nether, and the end, basically. The next step happens in the bootstrap again. And in bootstrap, we want to have a context. So we say configured feature registry entry lookup equals to the context dot get registry lookup for configured features. Now, this is a very long name. Let's say it's lookup. Make things much more readable. Now we need to register our placed features. Right now, we are not adding any feature to this placement. However, in this time, we are doing it directly with registry. So we don't have to go and, change anything. We don't need to do it in two steps like this time. So we had to just define them and then register them. Here we are doing it in one move. Now mod or placement dot modifiers with count. I did change this guy, didn't I? Modifiers with rarity, that's the name. So that's the name here. Now this time we are registering on the context. Of course, we are registering the key for lookup, get or throw this configured feature. Either we find the configured feature or we throw an exception. When we found the configured feature, we are adding some modifiers, and you notice that it was a code that I coded long time ago, basically. And this is returning a modifiers list with the rarity filter with a chance with the height modifier. Okay, now we are giving a 10 chance. This means 10 veins per chunk. And then the height is defined using a uniform. You have other options like trapezoid, but normally you use uniform. And then the offset. Now the offset goes with get top, get bottom, below top, above bottom, but Normally, I use fixed. Using fixed has an advantage and has a disadvantage. The advantage is it's much more understandable. So basically, I'm saying that from level minus 80 to the level 55 inside the game when you look at the F3 key info. However, the disadvantage is that some mods change the height of the dimensions. If that happens, then the game experience wouldn't be the same. That is why some people prefer to use above bottom and below top instead of fixed. However, I found it a little bit confusing at times, so I just prefer to use this fixed number. Basically, I'm saying that drop 10 veins per chunk with minus 80 to 55 as the level. Now, this 10 per chunk may be balanced, may be unbalanced. You should put a time and effort into testing it. And this is for overworld. Basically, the same things are happening for Nether and for the end. So I just copy them and paste them, and we will take a look at them. Take note that in the end, I'm changing the X and Y value and I'm reducing the veins per chunk because end is a small space. And for Nether, actually, the citrine, ruby, and sapphire are 6 per chunk. In Overworld, I have 10 per chunk. Does it mean that I will find them easier in Overworld than Nether? No, actually, it's harder because in here, I'm just looking for level 5 to 35, 32. So basically, in around 20 something levels, here I'm looking at 130 levels of ore generation. Basically, they will generate more in Overworld, but it's harder to find them in Overworld. And in Nether, you notice that I use below top for the top one, and this one is fixed on 32, but then I used above bottom 32. I will change this one. So above bottom 32 and below top 5 for some of them. And for some of them, I changed the above bottom and below top. And this is just a little bit of try and error. For example, this one is the diamond. Basically, I'm pushing diamonds deeper into Nether. And you can look at the vanilla code to find some of these numbers. Again, these may be balanced, maybe not balanced. You should sit back and try them. For the end, the level 50 to 65 basically means in a harvestable place on the main island that you spawn and fight the dragon in. Basically, it's not at the very bottom and it's not above the ground. 50 to 65 is a good place. And that is the registering of our placed features. Now, the last piece of puzzle is our generation. I will copy paste it because it's repetitive code over and over. So you just need to understand the first one. We go into the generate method, we paste it, and you see that each one of them is actually the same code over and over, but with a slight change. For example, we say, hey, biome modifications, add a feature for found in overworld. Basically, we are saying, hey, select this biome, overworld. Then please add underground ores with citrine placed key. That's the first step. The same goes for Nether and for the end. And that's it, basically. Nothing more, nothing less. That's it. That's the whole thing in there, you know? Now you may ask, hey, how did we connect to our configured features? We don't see configured features here, do we? Because we see the placed feature, but we are not seeing configured features here. Well, remember, when we are defining and registering the placement features, we are already binding to configured features. So basically, the placement feature is binding to the configured features. And then ore generation is using these placed features to place our ore inside a dedicated biome as a feature for the game. For example, here we are adding an underground ore. If we put a dot, we see that It has strongholds. It has few other things like vegetable decorations and top layer modifications, underground decorations. But normally for ores, you are using underground ore, and that's basically it. So for each one of these ores, you have to find a biome for the underground ore feature and then use the placement feature, and that's it. So for overworld, you see find in overworld. For nether, find in the nether. And finally, for the end, we found in the end. Now, you have to run the datagen. Although the mod or generation is not a datagen thing, however, the placement feature, the mod configured feature, and the loot table are related to datagen. You have to create datagens for the configured features, the placed features, and then this piece is running from each game instance, generating the ores using those JSONs that are generated. I'm not gonna run the game right now. Why I'm not gonna run the game right now? Because finding each one of these ores around the world is a little bit of time consuming gameplay. I leave the gameplay to you. You can just run the game. Remember, flat words are not good to test the ore generation right now. You need to create a new word. Just hit it as peaceful and creative, but the word type should be normal. And then go to the spectator mode and move down below the word. Look around the caves. Sometimes you find the ores easier. However, in the next video, I will come back and add our very first command to the game. The purpose of this command is to remove blocks so that we can find our ore easier, and we will see the result of our ore generation at the end of that video. If you like these videos, please subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and turn on that bell so that when I publish a new video, you will get informed. Have fun, everyone. Bye.